You might notice the title says Con Chronicles, and this isn't showing me at LA Comic Con 2018. I decided that instead my Con Chronicles will focus a little less on commentary at the con, but instead I will be focusing on my experiences of it, kind of a review, like the pros and cons. Is it worth going? As well as anything I bought from there, my takeaway, and what I did. So first things first, I thought I'd go over some of the things I bought. Now, I usually try not to spend very much when I go to LA Comic Con. Usually when I go, I tend to just buy a few things like stickers and pins, and of course, that was the main thing I did this year. Last year, one of the things I had bought was a set of exclusive to the LA Convention Center, well, exclusive to LA Comic Con, were some Funko Pops at the Hot Topic booth. It's not so much that I collect them, it's just I knew they would go up in value, and one of the characters was Moon Knight. And if you know, that's one of the regular characters I read comics on. Now, right here, you can see these were the exclusive characters. The X-Force version of Colossus with a chrome metallic finish, that was exclusive to the con. The booth exclusive was a Doctor Strange Ghost Rider cross with glow-in-the-dark and Hot Topic Girl. Now, every day, these lines got full. How full? Let's just say I gave up. I did not want to spend 3 hours waiting in line to maybe get one of those. So these two pins I bought as a set. I believe they were 2 for $5. This little cassette one that says I speak in movie quote, or in music quotes mainly. And this one, well, if you look at it, that means I gotta punch you a few times. And this one, I got really cheap. BoJack Horseman, one of my favorite characters on Netflix. And this, now if anyone's a Pokemon fan, they'll recognize this character. And if you are a Nightmare Before Christmas fan, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's this cute little Charizard, who's made up to look like Jack Skellington. And what's neat about it is, it glows in the dark. Let's see if you could look at it. See it glow. Look at that. Alright. Stickers. And I usually go to the same person every time, and he charges something like 3 for $5, and he always does this neat little Day of the Dead theme. So I got 3 different ones. I got a Day of the Dead version of Eleven from Stranger Things, a Day of the Dead version of Freddie Mercury, and a Day of the Dead version of Heisenberg from Breaking Bad. Now I got one other sticker, which I got free. Now this one is from Wild Bill's Old Fashioned Soda. Now what's neat about them is they have been at LA Comic Con every time I've gone, and they're starting to go to other conventions. And what you can do is you can purchase this little thing right here. This one itself cost $20, but they had different ones that were fancier. Another one that was like white metal with the colored logo, blue one. Another one that was kind of a copper finish. Now it's $20. Their booth is made up to look like an old-fashioned stagecoach in the Old West. And with the $20, for the whole day, you get unlimited refills. And they're different flavors such as Rootin' Tootin' Strawberry or something, Sarsaparilla, 6-shooter Sarsaparilla, Darn Tootin' Root Beer, and so on. So you can go, pay 20 bucks, you fill it up again and again and again. You can bring it back the next day and you pay $5 and they'll give you a wristband and you can use it that same day. Now that is a good deal because soda usually there in a small bottle is about $4. So say it's you with some friends or with your family, 5 drinks, that's 20 bucks. Here, $20. You could get about 8 different flavors and go all the time, all you want. And this time they had 2 of the booths set up at different ends, so that made it a little easier. Booths, they always give away free stuff like candy or different things, usually little promotional items. Like they tend to give away bookmarks, and this one I thought was a little neat. Pineapple Sushi. This guy was telling me about his comic he was working on about this cat robot thing that travels through time and has to save the universe. And this is one of the few times where someone is telling me about their series where I may actually check it out. Usually they'll talk about their series and I'll be a little turned off from it and I'll just kind of listen to them, just be polite, but sounds kind of cool, so I'm going to check it out. A lot of times I'll be listening to someone talking about their series they're trying to sell me, and a few times I actually did buy some of their series. Now this one, I don't remember what it's about, but it's called Coronary. And I'm not even sure if the person signed it, and I should have made sure they did. So, I'll have to check later, read it. I'll probably do a review on it. And I also got one other series called Out of Order. Now this one was really sad the way he described it to me. It was written by the two people it's based on, a true story. It is based on a husband and wife, and it's going through a lot of their mental breakdowns and mental health. And it's going about how it's a 6-issue miniseries going on about their marriage for a few years and how they almost broke up, got together, and how they reconciled and how they worked through depression and a lot of hard-hitting issues that you don't see in comics nowadays. Now, when I bought this, it was only about $5, and I got a free button with it. That button is on a backpack of mine, so I'm not going to get it for now. Now, a few other things I got, as I was saying, you go to booths and you could get free items. Nissan was there, and they were doing a promotion where you do a survey and you could choose between the small clear backpack, a tiny little flashlight, or a beanie. And of course I went for the beanie. It was the best deal. Now, one of the other things I also bought is I bought this for a gift for a friend. Is they're a huge Harry Potter fan, and they also like to bake. So I got this neat little handmade Ravenclaw oven mitt. It's incredibly thick. It'll work really good. You'll be able to cook. And if you know me, you know I like practical gifts. I like gifts that I can use every day, that I can use to make my life easier. I don't like gifts that just sit there like a statue or something. I like something that I can use. I can look at it and think about the person. So I got this, so hoping they would think about me and also remember LA Comic Con. And just so you guys can all know, this is what the badge looked like. 3-day pass. Now, let's start going over some of the things I got. Okay, the first thing I'll start talking about is what I got signed. Now, one of the main reasons I went to LA Comic Con was to meet Scotty Young. He is most known for working on the variant covers for Marvel Comics, usually doing little cutesy versions of characters, playing around, play fighting, and he works for Image Comics doing I Hate Marvel, or I Hate Fairyland. He also works for Image working on the title I Hate Fairyland. Now, most of what I have are all the variant covers he did, and now this one is Little Marvel A vs. X, of this little version of them playing dodgeball and Cyclops getting hit. He signed that, as well as Rocket Raccoon #1, Rocket Raccoon and Groot #1, Captain Marvel #1, All New Ghost Rider #1, Silver Surfer #1, which I'm glad he used a silver marker. Some people won't think about it and they'll actually write black on black and it won't stand out. And he also worked on Fantastic Four #1. He didn't do the cover. That was Sarah Pichelli, as you can see right here, that name. As you know, I'm a fan of hers. He did some of the interior work for another story. Now, as you know, I'm also a Quantum and Woody fan. So, of course, I probably took some comics there to get signed. One of the people who was there was Andrew Robinson. He had worked on the series, or at least for this cover. So here he is, he's signed. Another person who has worked on Quantum and Woody is Steve Lieber. And I have a lot of stuff signed by him already, so I looked for the last comic I had that wasn't signed, and I got this signed. This cover to Quantum and Woody Must Die #4. Now, another person I went to go see was Norm Rapamund. Hope I'm saying his name right. Another person I went to see was Norm Rapamund. He had worked on the cover for Superman Lois and Clark. As you can see, his signature right there, he wrote it in blue on blue. Remember what I just said about the black on black? I really wish he had signed it up here or done it in silver here. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers. He worked on this variant cover for Supergirl #14. Now that blue, that stands out beautifully there. And he signed one other comic. Now, I had this comic. It was a blank sketch cover. I got it done a few years ago at my first WonderCon. It was a flash cover, and he had worked for the series, so I had him sign it as well. Which you can't see because I have this little label over it, but you know what his signature looks like, and he made sure to do this one in red, which you would have thought he would have done for the other thing. Oh well. Now, another person who I wanted to see, and this person isn't quite in demand, is Ryan Stegman. Now, if you recall, I had mentioned in another video that there's a specific way he does his signature because his name is Stegman and looks like Stegosaurus. He will often do this little loopy thing to look like the back of a Stegosaurus and write Stegman underneath. Right there, as I said, the little loop to look like the dinosaur, and he wrote Stegman. This was a Superior Spider-Man cover. Almost everything I had from him was Superior Spider-Man. He's known for doing a lot of Spider-Man comics. See? There's the printed signature that is in most comics, and there is his handwritten signature. And in this one, you see that? He knew not to sign black on black or blue on blue. He signed in gold. He also signed my cover of Venom #1. Right there in gold, matching. Now, you might be wondering, why am I covering up this part with my hand? Because I went to go get signatures from another person, the writer of this comic, right here, Donny Cates. So, I got this comic double signed. And I also made sure he'd signed Cosmic Ghost Rider #1. Now, this version of Ghost Rider takes place in the future. It's Frank Castle, also known as the Punisher, where he wound up being one of the last living people. He was in a war. He was trying to stop all these villains. He died. He made a deal to become Ghost Rider, came back, and eventually the human race went extinct. And he lived on Earth for hundreds and hundreds of years, slowly started to go insane, and eventually he became the herald of Galactus for a while and started working for Thanos. Hence why he's in space. So, now another person, I gotta stop saying that. Another person that I went to go see was Kyle Higgins. He's most notable for working on the Power Rangers comics. You see, he signed both of these, and he was limited to signing 2 comics. Some people will sign a set number of comics and then charge money after that. His was 2 comics, and thankfully, I only had 2 comics. Scotty Young, he limits it to 10, and if you want a sketch from him, you have to roll a pair of dice and roll doubles, meaning you have to roll 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 5s, or 2 6. And then you can get a sketch and pay for it. It's just he's in such high demand that he can't just take on any list of people that want a sketch, because it'll get full really fast and he won't be able to help anyone else out. Now, the last person I was trying to see is this person who's worked on the Batman series. He is really hard to get. The line to get to him was incredibly long, and he was the person I was waiting for before I actually left the convention center. This person is Greg Capullo, who signed up here. Now ignore this signature. This was the inker from another con. Greg Capullo. There's the inker. Capullo again. Inker. Guys, the other thing I'd go for besides just getting things signed are getting sketches. And if you know me, you know I have a sketchbook. So I have a few sketches in here already. And let me show you. Now, Steve Lieber, he's done a sketch for me before. And if you look behind me, you can see that goat up there. He did that for me pretty cheap. You know, it was about $20, and it's a lot of detail. I saw that he had a sign up saying that he will do $10 commissions, which is a sketch, with any purchase. There, I thought of just buying one of the cheap comics, was like $3, $4, but instead I decided to buy a copy of The Fix, the trade novel. I have the first issue already signed by him, and for some reason I didn't think to have him sign this, but I'll probably see him again, so he can sign it. And I made sure he did a sketch for me in my sketchbook, and pay attention to this cover because it's important to the sketch I got. He sketched that beagle. Now, it's pretty detailed for how quickly he did it, and you know, it's free, so it's a good deal. Now, another person who did a sketch, I'm trying to remember their name, but they work for Go For It Comics. I really wish I knew his name. I'll have to look it up later. But I told him to draw whatever he wanted. This sketchbook of mine, I always say artist choice. If the artist tells me, okay, how about this or that thing, then I'll make a choice. Now with him, I told him draw whatever you want. So he did this really nice and impressive looking Groot. Very angry looking, but very nice still. Thing I bought there at the con and it is related to getting commissions and sketches. Now, some of you may know what a jam piece is, and some of you may not. A jam piece is when you have multiple artists work on one piece of art. They may each do a separate character. One person may do the background, one does the foreground. Just the whole point is that it's a bunch of people working together to create one piece of art. And I have sketch covers, and one of the things I had always wanted to do was to get a Venom blank sketch cover with 4 of the different people who have been Venom before, or at least had the Venom symbiote. Peter Parker, Eddie Brock, Mac Gargan, formerly known as the Scorpion, and Flash Thompson. Now, so far, I have 2 done on this cover, and I got them both done at LA Comic-Con. The first one was Mac Gargan. That was done by Jeffrey Edwards, which, if you look in the background right here, he did that Bosk I have there, and he also did that Hulk I did right there. He is a good friend. I love the work he does. He goes above and beyond every time. Now, he only charged me $30 to do the layout and to do Mac Gargan. I'll get to that in a little bit because I want to show this all completely at the same time. And I needed to find someone else to work on another part, so I had someone else do Peter Parker. And I'm afraid I'm going to butcher this name. I believe it's pronounced LACC''18 or LACC''18. It's L-A-K for the first name and last name L-I-M, Lim. LACC''18. But anyways, he did Peter Parker. I had seen that he was doing a sketch of Spider-Man for someone else, and I figured he'd do a good job of it, so I made sure to get them both to do it. As you can see, Jeffrey Edwards does a lot of detail for 30 bucks, and he did the layout. You can see the layout he has already here. He has an idea of Flash Thompson. He was the one who came up with the idea of having the Venom logo in the middle. You can see he did, Eddie Brock there. He did this layout of webbing in the background, and this is the Peter Parker done by LACC''18, and you can see his name right there. Jeffrey sometimes forgets to put his signature, or I'm thinking what he does is that he puts so much work into there that he has no room really to put his signature. As you can see, he didn't really save himself much room. Whereas Liam just basically did the figure and nothing in the background. But eventually I'll have the background filled in with webbing, and I haven't decided whether I'm going to get anything done on the back or not. But this is by far my favorite piece of art, and it may go up back here. I haven't decided yet, because in that top corner there was the Flash, and I had now I'm going to actually talk about Los Angeles Comic-Con and what I think about it. Now, last year was my first year going to Stan Lee's Los Angeles Comic-Con. Now it's just Los Angeles Comic-Con, and 2 years ago it was known as Kamikaze. I won't get into the name change or if that even matters because it's irrelevant. The good things about this con is that it's smaller, so it's so much easier to get in. The tickets are cheaper. It's in LA, so there's a lot of things to do. There's also a wide variety of artists, and because it's not like a traditional Comic-Con, there are so many other things. They have a main stage where if you don't want to go upstairs to a panel, you can see something going on. You can see the cast of Steven Universe talking. You can see a reunion with Power Rangers. You can see celebrities talking, but there's always something going on. The Hot Topic booth is always going on really well. There's a VIP area, which I would say is a little overcharged, but if you have the money, why not? Some criticisms is that last year they opened up late every single day. Like one day they opened up half an hour late. This time they opened up on time every single day, which I'm glad they did. Unfortunately, on the last day, when I got there early and I was actually at the front of the line, what they normally do is they let one section in at a time, let them go, then the next section comes in, then the next. They let everyone go at once, which created chaos. And of course, all you hear is security yelling, "Walk, walk, walk." And of course, people ran, and they ran, and they ran. Mostly to the Hot Topic booth. Mostly because they wanted to get stuff on the last day. So that was horrible. Yeah, kind of ironic. Think about it. Some of the other cons was, of course, this was in LA. So parking is always a major issue. It always costs money to park. There weren't any real things, any parking garages really close by. And most of the ones they were kind of shady. They're out in the sun. It's not like when you go to San Diego Comic-Con where they're enclosed. They're cameras. You don't have to worry about anyone taking your car. You know, you feel safer there. Another negative thing about this con is the fact that because it's in LA and there's always things going on, it's busy. Last year, there was a rock and roll marathon going on, and again, this year, a rock and roll marathon. Now, that doesn't get in the way, really, unless you're driving down there, but I walked from where I parked to the convention center, but unfortunately, while walking there was a huge barricade, so I was forced to go around quite a ways to get to the convention center. So that was a little bit inconvenience for me. There's also a new policy, I guess, where they didn't allow any outside food or drinks. And that upset quite a few people. No one wants to pay $4 for soda, $3 for a bottle of water, $10 for a slice of pizza. The price for food was outrageous. So I usually just sneak food in when I can, or I eat a big breakfast before I leave. And I eat a decent sized lunch and dinner when I get back. Now, of course, I don't want you thinking there was a whole bunch of just pure negative things about this con. I actually liked it quite a bit. But because it wasn't like WonderCon or San Diego Comic-Con, there was much more room for me. I was able to go around and film things. It was very easy for me to attend a panel. It was very easy for me to go get a signature. Artist Alley was really huge. There weren't a lot of huge names in it, but there were so many artists. And this year they did something a little different. I noticed they had things sectioned off a little better. They had the small comics section here. They had the major publishers here. Artist Alley here. The autograph area was in its own separate section. It was much easier to find. You didn't notice the jump cut, but because I was using this camera so much over there at the con, it actually died, so I had to recharge it. It's recharging right now. It's connected to a portable battery. These are always the great things to have at a con. So anyways, as I was saying, some of the negative things about the con, unfortunately, was that even though they had things a little bit more organized, they opened on time, they had things sectioned off a little better, they were very poor in announcing when they did things. They would, for example, they said Greg Capullo would be at table, I believe something like 671, and when you went to the spot on the map that it said he would be at, there was no table. And then you see, oh, this other artist is going to be at table 672. There was no table 672. I had to find out from random people asking, like, hey, have you seen Greg Capullo? He's like, oh yeah, I think I saw him over there at that table with all the Venom stuff behind the, you know, the one over there, the red apron on the other side. And I go, it's comic sketch art. Someone had said they would be there, but when I looked on their exhibitor list of all the people that'd be there, they didn't list comic sketch art. They weren't listed in there. So again, that seems like they may have done some of these things last minute. Another thing I noticed is usually most cons, they give you like a little booklet, like a nice size thing going into detail with each panel, a little small bio about the guests, things for sale. This year, they gave a pamphlet like this. San Diego Comic-Con, WonderCon, even LA Comic-Con last year, they gave a thick book, and this is what they gave us. Like, honestly, this is crap. And if you look at it, a good portion of it is just ads. Ad. You know, there's a lot of people I couldn't find because they were not at where the map said. I had to look on Twitter. That's how I found out where Greg Capullo would be at. And even then, he was not at where he would be at. He was at the comic sketch art booth, and that wasn't listed on the map. So even if someone says, hey, he's at comic sketch art, I'm not going to know where that is because it's not listed. So it's not on the map. So that's a gripe I have, that I feel they need to plan things out a little better. But I do give them major props for having people like Ryan Stegman, Donnie Cates, Scotty Young, Ryan Otley, who had nothing to get signed by him, unfortunately, and Greg Capullo, because those are big names, and I haven't seen them at any other convention. So it was a good thing for me to finally get a hold of all those people and get stuff signed by them. And I also give a major, props for them for how well they did Artist Alley. Like, it was pretty big. Though I will say there is something I didn't like the way they organized this. They put all the names all together. Most places what they will do is they will have a separate listing for Artist Alley. So it's very easy to look for the artist you want. They will list them by the table number as well as the name. They will have a separate listing for the exhibitors, which are those who have the booths who are selling things. Another one for guests, another one for photo ops. So say, like me, I mainly care about getting stuff signed. I collect comics. I may not care about the photo ops. I may not want to see who's selling stuff. So I could just look and go like, oh, okay, artist, found it, boom, 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 boom. It makes it easier to organize things. It makes it so much easier for me to plan things out. Instead of me having to look through like, okay, this name, who's that? Is that an exhibitor or is that an artist? I don't know. And then I have to look at the table numbers like, oh, okay, that's probably an Artist Alley. It was just, you know, I feel like they cut back on a little bit because Stan Lee wasn't there. Like, they didn't have as big of a draw because of Stan Lee. So I feel like that hurt them a little bit, so they cut corners here and there. But overall, I think it was a good experience. I would do this again. Now, of course, it depends who's going to be there, but I highly suggest if you're considering going to a con for the first time, that you go to LA Comic Con, because there is so much going on in LA, you can make a trip to do any other thing. Just as I was leaving, there was an LA Kings game going on. There were a whole crowd of people in LA Kings jerseys coming on, just as all these people in cosplay outfits were leaving. So you have LA Kings, people dressed as Deadpool, Aquaman, Bowsette, all just coming together, just meshing through each other, making this weird mixture of different people and fans of different fandoms, sports, nerds. It was great. So there's always something to do. So yeah, I would say overall I would give LA Comic Con a B-. You know, there's room for growth. It did well, but it could have been so much better. So hopefully they see this video and they improve on some of the things. They do have a pretty good social media presence. They update their Instagram very, very often. They add videos there all the time. They communicate pretty decently with fans. They just, you know, they're always firing things on there, like, you know, here's a picture, boom, doing this, boom, that, boom, update their Twitter, boom. But I wish they had put a little bit more of the focus into the actual convention with things like their map and their exhibitor list, and just organizing it a little bit better. And maybe when they let people up, they organize that a little bit better too, instead of just letting that whole crowd rush in. And all those people who were there early, if they didn't run, they got screwed out. They couldn't get the things they wanted. They couldn't get in line when they wanted. And maybe they should also get rid of the VIP package, which you're paying $100 and something more just for a few perks here and there. That makes it seem like this is a cash grab, which this should be more for the fans. This is why I like things like WonderCon. They don't have a VIP package as far as I know. And you pay about the same price to go to WonderCon as you would for Los Angeles Comic Con. And because that is in Anaheim, there's always something to do. You could go to Disneyland. You could go to Medieval Times. You could just do whatever you want there and you could be fine. So, yeah, I recommend LA Comic Con. But if you are a huge comic collector, I would go in with lowered expectations. If you want to buy comics, there were plenty there, more than I sometimes see at San Diego Comic Con, which, you know, given the name, you would think they would be huge on comics, but the past few years, San Diego Comic Con has been focusing on a lot of the other things. So, thank you for watching this Con Chronicle and my slight review with the pros and cons of LA Comic Con 2018. And I hope to see you there next year. Thank you.